This is how I watch Steven Crowder videos as a person with a brain. This is a tutorial for educational purposes only.
He's a mighty humble bumble. Okay, so let's go on to...
For some reason he likes to pretend to be racist against Asians. But remember, he has a half Asian attorney.
To green energy, and this is something where there's been a lot of misinformation out there. And I don't mean from alternative news sources, I mean from...
He starts his video talking about misinformation, while at the same time utilizing a very effective disinformation technique, or propaganda. He discredits mainstream media sources. This is something that Donald Trump did very effectively. Now, mainstream media has done a lot that makes them worthy of being discredited. However, when you're doing even worse than what they're doing, you have no right to talk about what they're doing. Especially when the only reason you're doing it is to further manipulate your audience. If you discredit the mainstream media completely, then to your audience, nothing they say matters. So they can challenge what Crowder is saying and actually make a valid argument, come with the evidence, show the facts, do an excellent job. But because Crowder has spent a long time, just like Trump, discrediting them, his audience is not going to listen to them. His audience is going to trust what Crowder says and just ignore what the media says. No matter, again, media does do a lot of nonsense. But if they actually make a solid argument, bring the evidence, show you the sources, do everything the right way, they're not going to get through to Crowder's audience.
A wonderful president.
If Hillary got in, you'd be doing windmills. Wing. Wing. If it doesn't blow, you can forget about television.
He misses this lunatic.
That's the end of your
Apparently our government is just a big entertainment for him, just a big show. Doesn't care about what's happening in his country as long as he gets a good laugh watching Donald Trump, the comedian.
Television, darling.
Come on.
I love how his first thing is like, if the wind isn't blowing, how will you watch Arsenio Hall take home the gold on Celebrity Apprentice? Right, folks? Wind. I miss him so much.
Wind.
I miss it. You know what? I miss a guy who doesn't give a rat's ass. Say, you can't go out and do that. You have to talk with your thumb like this.
Interesting that Crowder apparently knows that Donald Trump's entire presidency was a fraud, that he didn't actually plan to win. He won accidentally, and he's just kind of like, all right, whatever. So Crowder knows that the Donald Trump presidency was nothing but a big joke. But yet, he spent the last 4 years defending and protecting him from every corrupt thing that he's done, from every lie. Meanwhile, spending his time solely focused on the left. Demonstrably propaganda. That technique of focusing entirely on the left and ignoring the right, that is fundamental to what propaganda actually is, by definition.
Right at the White House.
Well,
yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What's the over-under on me insulting my way to the White House?
Yeah. He's like, Jeb, you're about to fall off the stage. You're so far away.
Oh, Jeb, you're so low energy. I think the odds just changed. Bye-bye. You're saying, well, it's not why are you blaming wind turbines? Because half of the wind turbines, and wind turbines make up about 23% of Texas's energy. So that's 12% of all energy. And we did the math here. 12%, if you take the population of Texas, that's between 3 and 4 million people.
Yeah,
and that's about the people who've lost power, and then some other people are having the brownouts, which they call rolling blackouts here. So 12% of Texas energy is gone because it's wind energy.
Yeah.
Now, the claim that you see a lot from the left, and this is misinformation, you'll see this all over the Twitter.
So because they lost 12% of their energy, and 12% comes from wind, he assumes that the 12% that's missing is coming from the wind. Most of their energy comes from other sources. Just because the amount that they were short matches or is close to the amount that they get from wind, instead of it being a percentage of all of their sources, he assumes without evidence that it's coming from wind. Right.
Trends and these tweets are favored, where they say, well, the shortage is actually just because they didn't pay for the cold package, the de-icing package, like in Minnesota.
Yeah. Heated seats.
Like
were
it's
not
a
put on the
Windmill
roof.
Plus.
Yeah.
They didn't get it. So.
Like, oh, we got the wind turbines where we have to start them like this, and you get one where you have the button that goes like this.
Cold package.
The cold package.
True?
This is what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
They're saying.
Yeah.
And it is a thing. It is a thing.
It is.
But it's incredibly expensive, and it still freezes. It just freezes at
Yeah, in
slightly lower
Minnesota,
temperature.
you got to pay for the cold package.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
I mean, it's not balmy. What do you mean, Minnesota?
but basically they're putting some trim.
They're
gonna have a racing
They're
stripe
wrapping it
down
in
each way.
caribou.
Now, and here's the
That's the cold package.
And here's
Keeps
the
it warm.
here's the truth though too. It still makes up a small percentage of Minnesota's energy. People think like they still use plenty of fossil fuels and natural gas in Minnesota, but they pay a lot more for this wind energy, but they don't rely on it. So I think it's important if you're going to talk about the efficiency of renewable energy to look to the country that kind of did it nationwide effectively. 5% of their energy came from renewables, which is one of the arguably the most, I think.
That's fantastic,
top
right?
Of all except no.
Oh.
Take it
Everything I'm seeing is saying that the problems were across the board. I don't see anything that's saying that it's just windmill,
I don't know my
right? Every time they talk about why, they say failure to winterize, and they say the same thing: natural gas production and wind turbines. But for some reason, Crowder is misleading his audience into thinking that it's just the wind turbines. The national gas production was fine. It was just those pesky windmills. And they cause cancer. Right. If Crowder has some source, I'm just Googling, right? You saw me do the search live, right? Where is he getting his information from? He's got some secret source on the inside that's challenging this. 46 megawatts of electrical generating capacity is offline today. Yesterday, the number was 45,000 megawatts. Monday, it was 34,000 megawatts. 28,000 megawatts is gas, coal, and nuclear. 18,000 is wind and solar. 18,000 is wind and solar. 46,000 megawatts of electrical generating capacity is offline.
And I know what you're saying. Well, it's not just, why are you blaming wind turbines? Because half of the wind turbines make up about 23% of Texas's energy. So that's 12% of all energy. And we did the math here. 12%, if you take the population of Texas, that's between 3 and 4 million people.
Yeah,
and that's about
Really don't have time to make this video, but thought I would share. You gotta write down what he's saying.
half of the wind turbines make up about So, something that's not funny, of course, is at least 4 million Texans right now
4 million without power.
Are left without power after the ice storms. They froze about half of the wind.
You said half.
And I know what you're saying. Well, it's not just
Wind turbines frozen. So that means we only got 50% capacity available. Wind is 23% of their energy.
half of the wind turbines make up about 23% of Texas's energy.
If wind is 23% of their power,
of all energy.
that would mean 11.5%. It's down to 11.5% now. Okay, let's confirm that.
And we did the math here. 12%, if you take the population of Texas, that's between 3 and 4 million people.
Yeah.
Okay, population is 28.7 million. 28.7 million. 12% of... Okay, so that's 3.4 million. Okay, so half of wind is enough for 3.4 million people. So in other words, the wind turbines are down to half capacity. That capacity is enough for 3.4 million people. So if you didn't have any other power sources, Texas could only provide power for 3.4 million people if you're only using wind right now with the half capacity. Okay, so now he's matching this number with how many people have lost power.
The people who've lost power, and then some other people are having the brownouts, which they call rolling blackout.
Okay, so based on this data that he's giving you, the conclusion would have to be that all the other sources are at full capacity, right? Because his argument is that wind is at half capacity. Half capacity is enough for 3.4 million people, which just so happens to be the amount of people who don't have power. So if the total people without power equal the amount of power missing from wind, then that would mean that all the other power sources are at full capacity, right? Let's do the math. Power sources: wind, 23, other, 77. 77 and 23 equals 100% of their energy. That is capability. Let's look at current. So wind is down half, so that's 11.5. Here's the bottom line. If you're saying that the missing capacity from wind is enough for all the people who don't have power right now, the only way that the missing capacity from wind could be equal to the amount of people without power would have to be that the other sources are at 100% capacity, which of course we know is not true. The reason is, if the other systems are not fully operational, then there necessarily would have to be more people without power than we're accounting for with the wind. If there were other sources that were diminished, then you need to have more people without power than can be accounted for with the wind. So clearly, some of this data is erroneous. Now we know the other sources of power are also degraded. So where is the missing detail? So apparently it's difficult to track how many people are without power. So now we have to hone in on that number of 4 million. Where did he get that from? Over 4 million. Not 4 million. Over 4 million. Let's find this article he's using. So here's the article he's reading, or rather slideshow. It's a slideshow. That's where he's getting his news from. Of course he picks this because this number works perfectly for his narrative. Is there a story? Well, there's an update for the story, February 15th. February 15th, that's days ago. So wind only accounts for 6 million people in Texas. They're down to half capacity, which is about 3 million people. The article he's using says 4.7 million users. That is almost 2 million more people than solar is capable of powering. So clearly, a lot of people are losing power, not from solar, but from other sources. Most of the supply that went offline was coal and natural gas, not wind. This is Business Insider. 60% of the energy sources offline in Texas Wednesday and Thursday were thermal. That is power plants that run on coal, natural gas, or nuclear energy. 60% of the energy sources offline were natural gas, nuclear energy. Yet Crowder begins his video talking about misinformation and then gives you misinformation. I mean, there's tons of information available online. If Crowder really cared to actually report on this and inform his audience, so it's not like he made a mistake and he just doesn't know. It's here for everyone to see. So I wanted to see where the wind farms are. I can see most of them are in the center of Texas. There's not a lot out here, and not a lot, I'm gonna call this the mid-south. Let's compare this to an outage map. So here's an outage map, which is a really bad one because it doesn't really give you a good sense of Texas. But we can see tons of outages out here where there really isn't any wind power. See a lot of them here, which I don't really see a lot of wind farms here either. It's kind of hard to tell where that is. I guess there's that little peak. Okay, so we're not talking in the peak. First of all, there's a lot of people in there that don't have power in this area. And as you can see, there is no wind farms in this area. So we have areas over here by Houston and out here that don't have any wind farms, but they're having tons of outages. There's almost no outages up in this area up here. I guess that's El Paso. This is a horrible view. They should have a decent outline of the state, but all they're doing is showing you where the outages are. That's pretty bad. And this is showing you, I guess, the progression, I guess. Yeah, see, there's more outages up here now. Well, there were. And now I guess they got rid of it. That's way up in the north. Yep.
Green policies that they destroyed his business. Yes. The man who will invent the electric car as you know it will have to leave California angrily to set up shop in Texas. This is not the plot for Fern Gully 4. It's a man named Elon Musk. You'll learn about him. They would have locked me away, put me in a straitjacket.
Yeah. There's no way. It would have been California where they all would go.
Elon Musk is leaving California. That's all you need to know. So, but I'll give you more.
Is he getting paid by these guys to promote their products? This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. And I can't make any more videos today. I got stuff to do. I gotta get a job. Jobby job.